it's good to reflect on your life, especially in the new year, instead of putting these New Year's resolutions. And I've had a pretty colorful existence traveling around the world doing everything you shouldn't do. So, this is a rare moment where I go a bit more personal and in depth on sort of what brought us to where we are today with a good friend of mine, Oe Martin, and this was recorded 3 years ago. And you'll see, don't judge him not wearing a shirt and the pixelated images. It was a different time before we were into the content world. So I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you take some value in understanding that, we all go through ups and downs. We all make mistakes, but it's what you do that defines you as a person. So let's kick into it. Welcome to the NZ Guide to Financial Freedom podcast. It's run by the co-founders of a free online learning platform called moneyskills.co.nz, and it has the sole mission of providing every New Zealander the opportunity to live a more fulfilling life. So let's kick into it.
So, my man, I was kind of, I swear to God, one of the reasons I started this podcast and the idea of this podcast is to see if people would even care about the crazy ass conversations, like the crazy ass conversations we have and had always. So, to anyone listening to this, Ryan and I met in Australia. The first time we met was funny. He was building himself a giant sand dick, and I was just coming for the help, and that was how we clicked. And actually, like, to be completely honest, from then we had a crazy adventure together. We've been through a lot together in this condensed time we've been together, which was about 6 months, I think. And we've traveled along the coast without any money, and we did some crazy shit together, and have been in touch since then, which has been about 5 years, I think now. And since then, Ryan, from living in a tent in Cranes, Australia, became from that to let's just say it. When he was traveling the world, he tipped his Israeli driver $600, or was it? Yeah, it was $600.
Yeah.
And he was completely chill with that. So that being said, that short intro I gave about you, Ryan, please give a listener something more about you, like about your story from, I guess, the mindset you came from to the really resilient mindset you've developed, which has enabled you amazing things, and got you to amazing points to where people want to mentor you just because of your growth mindset and wanting to learn attitude. So just give us a little backstory about that, and then we're gonna keep talking shit, bro.
Sounds good. All right. This is weird dynamics, talking on a podcast with someone potentially listening. That's probably just going to be us, but dare to dream. So, my story actually starts, I would say, when I was 3. My mother and father, they broke up, and my dad had a gambling issue, and he spent all of the savings of the family, and then my mum found out, and then they divorced when I was 3, and mum couldn't deal with it. Dad, I was in this crazy tough place, like of self-hate. And then she decided to leave to America, just flew when I was like 4 by that stage.
Mm-hmm.
And she went there to work with goats, believe it or not. So she's left when I was 4, and I was staying in New Zealand with Dad for a while, and then the reality of it, I started playing up. They couldn't get me to settle, so they decided it'd be a good idea if I go see Mum in America. So one, you get used to your whole family being this cohesive unit, then suddenly they're broken up, and then in different parts of the world. So I ended up moving to America when I was a young kid. Stayed there for 18 months. Actually got suspended from preschool. I don't know if I
We're in
told you that.
America.
Yeah.
We're in America though.
I was to New Zealand. I was in Guthrie, Oklahoma.
Oh god damn.
Oh,
Okay.
damn. I
Keep
came
going.
back with a really confused accent, and everyone looked at me like I was a different person. The Yeah, so I get suspended from preschool. There was this little my best mate. I threw a swing at him and caught him on the head, and I actually like cut his head open. It was really bad. So I was a real rat bag when I was a little kid because there's no stability. And then I remember the story. Like Dad ended up coming all the way from New Zealand, and we were meant to pick him up at the airport, but we forgot. And he rocks up, and eventually he works out where we live. He gets a taxi, and then he like knocks on the window, and there's this like 5-year-old kid lying on a sponge bed because we hadn't furnished it yet. Because goats don't pay much money, to be honest. And I'm lying there butt naked, and my dad's knocking on the window, and he's like, "Son, Ryan, can you let me in?" And I wake up and I look at him, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, Dad," and then I just go back to sleep. So yeah,
You
yeah.
never told me this story.
Oh man, it's this. It's an iceberg. There's endless things
Okay,
under there.
okay,
If I can
okay,
remember, it comes up.
okay, okay.
So yeah, we let him in eventually. It's all good. So that sort of instability, and like I guess not the hallmark of the family you want, sort of learnt you to find something within yourself,
Mm-hmm.
to find not draw externally, because the reality of the world is it is harsh. It is there is hardship, and everyone has it. And to me, that ended up not being a bad thing because they were such incredible people. My dad's a very like logical, sharp, quick-witted individual. My mum's more of a down-to-earth, like think of others, and a sort of a hippie.
Mm.
But she has a PhD in agriculture, so she balances it with logic. So I had those two worlds. And then at school, I had this chip on my shoulder, and I didn't realize what it was until Mum told me later on that she wanted to live her success through us. So she put this sort of need to succeed. So if I didn't meet my aspirations and my dreams, then I'd get in this sort of self-loathing, self-hate, and really critique. Like, for example, in a basketball game, say I got 30, 40 points when I was a teenager, or 20 or whatever, and it just like great shooting. We smoked them. We did really well. And it like I was captain and I led the team in a good way. But if I miss, say, a couple three throws, I play a full game because I don't play half-hearted. I always leave it on the floor. Um, and I would still do something called a suicide. Do you know what a suicide is?
No.
In basketball, it's when you run to the three-throw line and back to the baseline to the halfway and then back and then to the
Yeah. Oh yeah,
three-quarter.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you sprint it.
Yeah.
So after I played a full game, I'd sit there and do my three throws, and I had to get 8 or out of 10 or higher. And I'm tired and I miss them. And if I miss them, I do the suicide. I can't leave till I do it, finish it. So sometimes it could take two hours, or sometimes it's 10 minutes. Sometimes I get it first go, but it was just that regardless of how well you did, you have an expectation and the values that you hold yourself to. And that comes from the independence I got from being on my own in that sense, and the family not being that, I guess, stability that you can rely on.
Mm.
And then after school, I was like, oh, where do I go? What do I do with life? And there's something called Outward Bound. Have you heard of that?
Mm. No.
Outward Bound is a course in New Zealand. They started a while ago. I think it was to prepare people for the Navy or something initially. So
Okay.
it's like this really intense course over 3 weeks. It tests you mentally, physically, Like, as soon as we came in, they said, leave your bag here. It was like cold, like it was down south. And they're like, okay, go for a swim. So we go in this freezing cold water, and then they get us to roll around in the mud. And we don't know them, and we're just doing what they tell us. So we're covered in mud, and they say, this is the metaphoric mask you wear in life. This is the person you hold yourself to be out there, but we all know it's pretend, and we don't want you to wear it here. So we washed the mask of the mud off, and it was meant to be representation of the person we portray, but not who we are.
Mm.
So another like 4 days of the course, we climbed 4 mountains, walked 33 hours, and ran a half marathon. And that's a 3-week course, and that was just 4 days of it. So that journey of instability, and then also finding that independence within yourself, and then that challenge through the outward bound, you sort of learn that we all have inadequacies. The biggest, most powerful tool of connecting with someone or getting a mentor, as you said prior, is to actually show a part of yourself that is vulnerable, but you're not dependent on them for the reaction. So you're saying, this is me, I'm letting it go. I'm respectful of how you feel and where you're at, but I want you to see that I'm being genuine. And we call it congruence, like words, thoughts, actions align. It's probably one of the most powerful tools to connect with someone. I feel like I'm talking a lot, brother. Should I just keep rolling with it?
Keep rolling with it, brother.
Going on a rant. Well, okay, well, 18,
Say
and
that.
then
What words again? Words?
words, thoughts, actions aligned.
Words, thoughts, actions, alignment. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's one thing to be honest, but you have to have pure intent. So the person across from you, like, it's like that feeling, when someone talks to you and they're just waiting for you to finish so they can say what like they have to say. And the context, even though what they said is very powerful, very articulate, like Martin Luther King said it, if it's badly timed and it's not relevant to what the person is saying, it doesn't work. So it's one of the most powerful ways to be interesting is to be interested. And that's congruence. It's about being aligned and present to the moment and accepting who you are. So 18, and I had no idea where to go or what to do. So I ended up studying veterinary science because I was quite good at sciences. And then I went to veterinary science, went to all the classes, and I realized I'm horrible without structure or routine. And I just crumbled, and I didn't go to the exams in the end. And then I was just ashamed because I was dealing with this chip on the shoulder that my mum obviously really tried to push into me, and then not living up to that expectation. So I got real down. I was like sleeping till like 5 at night. I'd wake up. That's when I'd wake up, like 5 p.m. and just on a normal weekday. And eventually I pulled myself out of it, and that started getting me thinking about how the mind works and how why people do what they do, because they call psychologists, they call them wounded healers.
Wounded healers.
Yeah, wounded healers.
I like it.
Because it's either they have trauma or have experienced it around them and they want to help, or internally they have this conflict. So we talk about hardship and the challenges we face in life. Mine were pretty minor. But what they give you as the most powerful tool you can have is empathy. Because EQ, your ability to understand where a person is in a conversation or in life and what they need to hear, is a very, very useful tool. And although hardship gives you a few insecurities and challenges, it also gives you that empathy. So it's not something you want to lose. So then I started being fascinated what people do, why they do what they do. So then I just went off on my own, and I traveled around Australia, and I ended up living in a tent for a year and a half. And there's a lot of periods where I was living off $10 a week on food, which sounds bizarre now because I spend that no, I don't know a meal that's less than 10. So it's like,
yeah.
Complete difference.
Yeah. And
So
you regard like, and also needless to say that you are now living in you are talking to me from the four walls you live in, which, by the way, it's, what time is it? You're in New Zealand, I'm in the US. It's 1:50 a.m. here. What time is it over there?
7.
7 p.m. the day. Yeah, you're ahead of me.
Do you want to?
Yeah, you're in
I'll
the
tell you what the
future.
lotto is, bro. You got a
Yeah,
lotto
but
ticket?
you were saying, sorry. No, I was just sorry. I was going on a really unnecessary tangent. You keep going, keep going. It was a little breather. Now let's get back to it, baby. Let's
Yeah,
get back to your story.
find your
So you,
woolsack, people.
no, but you were living. I feel that was. Would you say that the time in the tent, was that your lowest low?
I would actually say a year ago, funnily enough, but also the
Really?
most valuable. Yeah, a year and a half
Mm,
ago. The tent was challenging. It was strange. Like materialistically, you'd think it was hard, but it was very, very easy, very in sync, and it was fine. I think the two things that hold me back, and I've realized with self awareness that causes my discontentment is purpose. If I don't feel like I'm working towards my aspirations, I feel that cliff, that distance. And the other thing is relationships. So like with my family, I'm very independent and we talk to each other every couple months and it's not a big deal. But with relationships, when someone I let go and immerse myself with and fall in love with, I can get it can be quite hard.
mm-hmm.
Because prior to leaving Australia, I met a girl and I was actually a garbage man back then. I didn't even use gloves. It was disgusting. I had this.
I didn't know you were a garbage man. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. That's hilarious. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm this garbage man and I come back stinking and like I'd only just moved into my own like sort of flat. And I even had this old bed from when I was a kid and I used to wet the bed like a while back when I was in my teens, which wasn't my favorite part of my life. But may
That's
I re-
hilarious.
may I rest in peace. So I had
Rest
this
in peace, my friend.
so I had this urine soaked bed and I worked as a garbage man. And I somehow met this teacher, and she was beautiful, lovely, amazing girl. Like she was the youngest teacher or youngest person to become a qualified teacher in the region. And she was also she soon became like had a leadership role in what she was doing and started like she got pay rises every 5 months sort of thing. It was crazy. And she's just with this dude that's like a garbage man, like sitting in urine. She'd like the bed like had clear stains on him. I had like
Wow.
two sheets and a blanket,
That's crazy.
and yeah, she loved me, and I loved him. And that's the thing I talk about. Like whatever point you are in your life, like no matter how much you have or how little you have, if you own who you are, people gravitate towards you regardless.
Mm.
And for whatever reason, she saw something in me. And then I realized like, hey, I'm not ready for a serious thing like this. I was 22. I wanted to see the world. I wanted to get out there and I needed to find out my purpose. And I didn't know. And I was 22 and I was like, oh, I can't wait any longer. So I left and I broke up with her and it was horrible. Like she was, I still think she's the love of my life. Like, and, um, and so I said to her, look, I can't be with you. I don't want you to wait for me to try and work out what I need to do. So we parted ways. And the reason you say it was at the lowest time, the tent, it was at low points because every time I wasn't going towards what I wanted in life, I would think, well, why aren't you with her? Like, why are you not together if you're just going to bum around?
Mm.
So then eventually I think, yeah, you decided, oh, mate, we got to do something. Let's go for a mission. It was after I was working at Abracadabra, name drop, go get the best kebabs in Byron Bay. I used to work
If
there.
it still exists, I wonder.
It would
I
have to
heard.
be, bro. I've heard
Okay.
of like every time I say
Shout
abracadabra,
out to Kebab, what? Abracadabra.
it's where the magic happens.
The, that's where the worst employers in town lie.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, I don't want to say anything negative. They were cool.
Anyway, anyway, I didn't say anything negative. I just put things as it is, objectively. Um, anyway,
You get free kebabs if you work there illegally. It's perfect.
yeah, man, it's right. It's just so perfect.
Right.
Um,
Who needs money when
uh,
you got cheese?
right when you anyway. So after working in Abracadabra, me and you went on a hitchhiking trip in which, you know, we've had and the first, I think one of the first nights was in we were driving. Oh, so one of the first nights was, we obviously didn't know where we were gonna sleep at any night, which
Yep.
was funny enough.
Code waffle.
And it was testing our friendship. Um, Me and Ryan went, and we hitchhiked the fuck out of Australia. I'll just give you that. We hitchhiked and we didn't, we were just reckless people. We actually took a ride with somebody from Noosa, to, we didn't know where the fuck it was. We were just like going north, with
That's a
this
sign.
dude, the only dude who would take us. Um, and we were kind of smelling funny smells from his car. And along the way, I see, like, between my between my feet, I see a six pack of what was it? I can't remember. Like whiskey with Coke. I forgot
Yeah,
the name.
yeah.
Jim Beam. Yeah, it was
Oh,
Jim Beam.
Jim Beam.
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then and then I see, like, that he's carrying one, and he's like, "You want one?" And me and me, we look at each other, and we're like, like, that's, we are while in Rome, while in Rome, just. And so we drank with that guy in his car, um, before, and then yeah, and then we went up to Cranes. Crazy stories along the way. But then
Mm.
from there, like, what happened was, I left, and then we never saw each other again. So that was the time when we were kind of communicating from afar, always. Um, and I want you, like, to, because I heard the story in, in briefs, and we were kind of talking along the way, having our conversations. But I want to know, like, where did you feel in this pattern was your most, like, was the most of your resistance? So what did you have to go through? Like, what did you feel like there was a breakthrough point where you were like, okay, I'm comfortable, I know I'm going the right way? Or was it always in a disorganized manner? You were just going from one thing to the other? Because from one place, I remember that you just started. You started getting into sales right after, like a year after I left, or half a year after I left. You started getting into sales. You kept getting promotions, and you end up being their best. They fly you around all the time, and um that becomes what you do, and it becomes a part of your personality. So I want to know, kind of, where that happened, if you feel like there was a point that it happened to you, and if there was, when was it, and what did it feel like? What did it take you to get there, to go
Yeah,
through this resistance?
yeah, I can think of a specific point. It's crazy when you start flowing, you realize how many things have happened in your journey. So I don't think we're gonna have lack of content on our podcast. It's gonna be fun.
Right, but okay. So I want to ask you, what personality trait did you need to give up to get to the point that you are now? What is the main thing that you had to drop? Because you are still Ryan. You know what I mean? You are still the same person I know. Uh, uh, um, like we have the same exact conversation, but something in you switched,
Yeah.
and I know that for facts. Um, it seems like something in your priorities change, something in the way you look at things change. So what I'm asking first is, what personality trait did you need to drop to get to where you are now?
A word that comes to mind to me is intent. So for me, I've always been this potential, like I could do really well, but I never commit to it and have intent.
Mm-hmm.
Because then if I do and I fail, then I'll admit to myself I'm not good enough, and that chip on my shoulder is real. And there was a specific moment. So I had $20 left. I had something like 4 nights of accommodation, and I had a bit of food from the free shelf because hostels had free shelves you can make the most of. And I remember when I did veterinary science, that one year I said, well, I'll pay for this. And mum says, well, I'd love to contribute. If you do it, I'll contribute and I'll pay for it, which is nice, first world help. But then she never gave it to me. She just said, I'll use it as a fail safe when you need it. And I'd gone years on my own, and I decided I actually need it now. But I didn't want to ask for it. I didn't want a handout. So I sat down and made a clear vision of what I wanted to do, where I want to go and how I want to do that.
That was in Australia?
Yeah, Cairns.
Okay.
And
You were living out of the tent then?
yeah, I
Cool.
was.
Cool.
Yeah, so I sat down this plan, and I realized no matter where I go in my life or no matter how down I feel, there's always a point where someone starts talking about their issues and where they are, and I can help in some way. I come alive. I wake up. So instead of looking at a career and trying to mold that into what I wanted, I started to think, what am I good at and what do I enjoy? And I love looking at why
Mm.
people do what they do. So I sat
Right.
down, I wrote this, and then it was a big long thing, and I was in a real bad place financially. I probably would have been on the street. And then she read it, and she said, this is a very hard decision for me, Ryan, but I'm gonna have to say no. So I was like, oh, okay, what do I do now? So I used I think a couple dollars to get a tie, and I had one decent shirt. And then I realized my biggest fear at that time was to try and talk to people with an intent. Because when I was 12 years old, I went to ask a girl to dance. She said no, pushed me over, and I fell in front of all my friends, and they all laughed at me. And subconsciously, that made me always fearful of like going up to someone trying to get something or trying to meet a girl and get to know more about her. So it was always this big fear. So
Mm.
the thing I wanted to create was a business helping people achieve emotional success, but I needed credibility because it's not what you say, it's more who you are. It's who you are that says it.
Mm.
So I realized these are the stepping stones I need to get. So I had the credibility and know how to help someone in that
Mm.
business context in the future. So I said, okay, what's the hardest thing with my fear with intent would be sales. And not only any sales, commission only. Commission only selling, so I have to do it. Otherwise, I'm stuffed. So I find this place, I walk in, I've got my one tie that costs $2. I got it from an op shop, and I had my shirt, I made it ironed, and then I did my research on who was going to interview me. I did a psychological profile of what they want to hear and who they need, and just pretended to be the person, even though I knew I couldn't do it. So I go and I pretend to be this confident guy and like, yeah, yeah. And then I say what he wants to hear. And then I end up getting the job. And I remember my first day, I'm like, oh, okay, I've got it. Now, how am I going to do this? And we had to sell a product where you stop people in the shopping center. So those annoying guys. And then create a connection. And then you got to end up with their credit card details, their full name, their date of birth, where their address is, just from your ability to create a connection.
And
Mhm.
sometimes you're outside a building at like 7 p.m. at night. You got this shit, like really bad table and like this shirt that's like a polo, and this is so supposedly credibility, and then you still got to try and create that to make money. So I remember my first day, I made all these like intricate notes and thought hard about how I'm going to do it, because I always overanalyze and overthink. And then I feel like in planning you need a bit of worry and concern, but in execution you need no emotion. You just need presence. So I plan and obsess and overthink, and then when it comes to game time, then there's no place for it. But I hadn't been able to learn that skill yet. So I went in and they told me when you need to meet someone and sell them a product, you need to create rapport and create a connection, because people obviously won't buy from you if they don't like you.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, build a relationship, build rapport. So it's in my head. And I was like, oh, I'll just go and shake their hand. That's a good start. So I stopped this old guy in the shopping center and I said, hey, how you going? And I go to shake his hand. And then because I was in full stress zone, because I was doing my fear, it's like shaking hands with a spider, like a big ass spider that you need to like shake its hand. Otherwise you don't have food for rent, money for rent. Yeah, if only you could barter food for rent, that'd be pretty good. But so I go to shake his hand. He's holding these shopping bags, but his thumb's sticking out.
Mhm.
So I shake his thumb, and yeah, and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, trying to build a relationship." So it was a slow start. It took me a while to work out the sales. Then, yeah, as you say, I started getting good at it. And then all the top performers, they fly them to 4-star hotels, and you have these big dinners with 2,000 to 3,000 of the top people in the country. And then, yeah, it was just built from that fear. And then I started training and teaching people and recruiting them and developing a team. And then I was second in charge with the boss, and to the point where I had to make a choice and I had to leave. And she decided that she was going to end it too, but I came back from a holiday and it was just me, and she had to leave, and I asked if I could still run the company while she was gone and with my team, because they still needed to make money before they left. So we ended up going from this guy that was shaking a thumb to be able to run the company yourself and generate all the leads and all the sales and keep the team motivated. And yeah, he top performed. The guy on the team was the top performer of the country for the last 2 weeks before he finished it. So, and that's out of 100 offices and I don't know, 4,000 or 5,000 people.
Okay, so would you say that the main resistance was kind of fear of rejection?
Um, it's admitting that if I actually commit to it and fail, then I really am not good enough. If I don't try, then I can always say, hey, you didn't try, so it's all good. You're still
Mm,
okay.
yeah, but that totally, is in contrast with what Michael Jordan said. Like, you can't, uh, um, you always miss a shot you don't take.
Mm.
Uh, God damn. Okay, so from there, you lead a team in Australia, and so what's your next grind after you get to the kind of the top and where you are in Australia? What's your next grind? What's your next uh, um, concern? Because we always look kind of towards the next towards like our next challenge, our next big thing, our next thing we want to become. What what was the grind then?
The grind of the next thing after I realized I could do that. Well, we could fast forward to today. There's things in the middle there that I was sort of trying to catch back up on what I had, because there was a big struggle in the middle there. Because we left the country and with my girlfriend at the time. So the next grind to me was like, well, hey, you're content and happy with who you are now. You can you can connect with people, you can create something out of nothing. So you've really faced that fear. So the value's lacking in that prospect. So I started thinking,
What do you mean?
well, you see it like steps. So say you want to be a basketball player, you got to learn how to you got to work on your fundamentals first. And your fundamentals, you know, triple threat, the way your defense, defensive stance, how you move through the court, how you read the play. And then once you've achieved that step, you got to go the next step. And for me, sales wasn't giving me the next step. It was giving me income, and it gave me structure because I need that, because I realized I need structure and routine after university. So I thought, okay, well, I want to run a business helping people achieve emotional success. I'm not the man that someone should model right now. So why don't I just surround myself with people that are on that grind? So that's what I did. So I started organizing events, and I had no idea what I was doing. And I read in a book, a lot of books, they 200 pages, but they have 3 points. So the main point I got from one book, I can't shout it out because I can't remember the name, but it was start small, start now. So you don't know. We always think like, how are you going to do it? How's it going to work? And as I say, I mean, just start it and stumble your way through. Just see what happens. Just make sure the consequences aren't too great. So I started thinking, well, hey, I want to build this company, so why don't I just practice while I'm earning an income? So I have a normal job selling insurance, and then I started organizing these events. And I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know how to market it. I didn't know how to get people to come. I didn't even know how to get speakers. So I just I advertised on Facebook. I worked out how the algorithms work and how you can actually target specific audience. It's kind of scary, like how much they know about you and how well you can target the people you want. And the first event, I had all these people, and then I had no speakers. So I was like, all these people, what are they going to come to? And I kept procrastinating because that fear's still there. I have to manage it, of going and talking with an intent. So eventually I just did no planning. I started calling the company the event Meaningful Money Making. So I needed to find an investment company that would have a speaker that could give advice. So I was like, oh, okay. So I just looked them up, walked in the door. First door I walk in, they said, look, we're something called a registered financial advisor. We can only give general advice. We can't do it. I'm like, okay. Next one, she's really excited, but she's the wrong person. Because I procrastinated, left it to the last day, like the last part of the night. It was like 5 o'clock. And I just thought, I'll just try this one. And I walk in, and the receptionist's like, hey, can I help you? And I had no plan. I had no idea what to say. So I just said something. And she's like, oh, okay, well, the event you've got is actually for younger people. We actually deal with people that are retiring. So straight away you're like, oh, well, this isn't going well. But she's like, you can wait there if you want. I mean, he may come in and he may like it, I guess, but probably not. So that's what she said. So I'm just sitting there like, oh, well, this is just a waste of time. But it's the same thing as I say, like over worry, overthink, overanalyze in preparation, but in execution, just let it go. Be present.
But that's like as well as what you said. Did you finish, or do you have more?
Yeah, you can keep going, bro.
No, because like to what you're saying is the thing I told you. I think like a few days before you did that was just fucking show your face, right? Like people, you've been cultivating this skill you're talking about, this skill that you've mastered by now. There's always new places to go, and there's always new mountains to conquer. But the thing I was telling you before is just fucking show your face, because people are so caught up in targeting and marketing and all that, because in the end of the day, you invite 1,000 people on Facebook, 2,000 attend, and then you see 40. So that's like when you go up to these people, then they buy into you. You know, they won't just buy into somebody that is not tangible, and that doesn't they don't see their value through a screen. We don't necessarily see your value, but then when you're there, you're coming in, you're showing up, you're saying, yo, this is what I am, this is what I got. That's when the magic, that's when where you stick out. And there's no way to forget that, right? Like I feel like that was to me, it was so obvious that that's what you needed to do. Just go and show them what you've been doing so prolifically, and you know. And okay, so keep going. So what happened? You enter his office.
Yeah.
He comes in, right?
Yeah. So he comes in, I shake his hand. He looks confused. I'm confused. I don't know what I'm saying. He doesn't know what I need to say. But the best thing about that is people don't know how many times you've failed in the prior ones, or how many times you failed in your head. So just don't muck up that one and you're fine. So I sit down with him and he starts telling me how he's like a board member on the council of my main city. And then also he's got this crazy backstory. And I did research later, and he was in charge of like $90 to $100 million of capital, and he gets a 1% portfolio fee. And he's just talking to some dude that walked into his office. Like, I think the more money you make is based on, well, how much money you make is based on how big a problem you solve. So you imagine this guy earning 900,000 to $1 million a year just from a portfolio fee, is how busy he would be and how stressful his life would be. And he's just talking to me. So like, he's this important dude. And I'm telling him about this event that I had no idea, and I just put on Facebook, and I said, yeah, 80 people might come. He's like, yeah, most people don't when you do it that way, but he's like, interesting. And I had no value for his company, because he sells to old people, like people retired. His quote is, don't run out of money before you run out of life.
Wow.
Imagine trying to pitch that to a 20-year-old, because that's the market I got to come. So he's got no gain. So I just talked to him, and then he says, okay, I'll come do the speech. Wow, okay, I was just thrown by that. And so he did the speech, and then I was trying to get another speaker, and I kept procrastinating again. And then it was like one day before the event, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to find anyone. I know some things about influence and psychology and sales, so I'll just do a speech. And it had to be 30 minutes to 45-minute speech. And I had nothing. I had no plan on how to do that. So I just thought of a general idea of points I want to hit on. And then I ended up doing a 40-minute speech. And like, the audience was like, they were listening, they were laughing, they were clapping. And then afterwards, I actually got offered a job from that speech that I made up like the day before.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, oh, well, my sales team needs help and guidance, and they're not closing that well. How much do you charge? And I was like, I don't know. So I just thought in my head, yeah, 50 an hour. He's like, oh, okay, well, that sounds worth it for my business. I mean, it's an investment for the future. And that's just from a speech I made up in the morning. So now we've got all these random people that came, and it was a horrible event. Like, it was freezing because I didn't know how to turn the heaters on. So everyone's like shaking with purple hands, listening to this old dude talk about money, and me talking about a speech I just made up in the morning. And then in his speech, he actually says, life's too short not to enjoy good wine. And he was talking about, sure, you want to save, you want to think to the future, but every moment today is a moment you won't have again. And he talked about his journey with his wife. He had everything. He was happy. And then she was dying of cancer.
Mm.
And he embodied that by saying life's too short not to enjoy good wine. It was just a metaphor for enjoying what we have now. We always pursue this money, this materialistic attainment, but
Yeah.
we forget to enjoy the good wine.
Mm.
And then so I remember that, and I don't drink anymore. 4 years now.
Yeah.
I've gone drunk 4 times in 4 years. And so I remember what he said about wine. So I went and tried to buy a bottle of wine, and I didn't know what was a good wine. So I just brought what my mum used to drink. So I sent it to him, and then the next day, a few days later, actually, he gives us a call and he says, "Look, I'd like to meet you and meet up with you again. I appreciate the gift." And then we just sit in this conversation for like an hour, and he just starts painting this picture of how his son's not interested in running the business and taking over.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, cool. Well, thank you for sharing that information. What's the point of this? I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm fascinated by you. You're a great guy, but are you trying to go somewhere with this? And then he started saying, well, have you ever considered about doing this line of work?
Mm.
And then next moment, then he's talking about a job, and he says, look, I can mentor you in the mornings. You can sit in on my clients. And some of his clients have a $1.4 million investment, and he's willing to have me sit in on some of these clients.
Mm.
And then he also said, look, you need this qualification to do it. I'll pay for it. So he says, look, I'll mentor you in the mornings. Keep the job you've got. Next year, I'll give you a salary and a retainer when you're qualified, and then we can build up your own portfolio, and I'll show you how to do what I do. And that was just from, as you say, a call from you saying, go meet them in person, and just taking that time and being genuine and congruent with who you are and listening to them and showing appreciation for who they are. Like that subtle bottle of wine, if I hadn't have done that, this might not have happened at all.
Right. Right. Does this? I actually had. I need somebody else I had on the podcast is a mentor of mine. Which the way that I created a really tight bond with him was I sent him a book. I sent him a thank you book, just because for not like literally for the new year. I just sent him this cute book, like a child book, a thank you book
Oh,
that is just about these weird ass animals that like in different ways of saying thank you or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was just like, thank you. That was genuine, you know, and doing something and bringing somebody it sounds cheesy, but giving somebody a wine that your mother used to have because you knew it's good is something that is also very personal and personable. So you just like, you know, without knowing, I feel, but it's something that everyone should take. Like to create a real rapport with somebody, there needs to be something on the line that is more than an email saying thank you, because that doesn't count like a physical thing that sits in your office and you look at it, you're like, oh my God, this motherfucker thought about me, really thought about me. So props for that, man. I love this action, and I'm a big advocate of that. And what you also said that I feel like a lot of I don't know if there's a lot of rant and ramble about, but you know, like the people you surround yourself need to know to read your situation. That's something I feel like not enough people understand. Like you can be surrounding yourself with amazing people who cannot understand or relate or be compassionate about the situation you're in. But with that situation we were in, it was so obvious, you know, it was so obvious to me to just tell you, because I see you, you know what I mean? Like we see each other grow and we see each other do things. So we encourage each other to do stuff. And with you and me, when we were back in Byron fucking broke, you were the one who was like, yeah, go fucking do it. What the fuck are you waiting for? And probably I wouldn't have gone doing it without you telling me to go and do it. And just a little backstory, I was hella scared. I came to Australia because I wanted to do street performing. And one day Ryan heard me do my thing, and he was like, bro, you need to do something with it. Let's and I told you about it. You just kept me accountable for it because you knew that's what I wanted. And from my side, I knew that you wanted to have a good event, and to have something that is more than just you speaking, and to make it meaningful for others, like the point you were stuck in, that you didn't know what to do, and help other people with it. Anyway, so I think that is very overlooked, like the fact of just connecting yourself to people who can relate and listen to your situation, and then fucking roast the shit out of you, and tell you, yo, like, wake the hell up, go to the streets and perform, because that's what you'll make the living out of. We didn't know, but that's what I made my living of in the next, what, more than 6 months, probably. Like, right? And it was crazy. Again, I'm taking it. We'll take it back to you in a second. But I'm just saying, I made $300 sometimes in less than 3 hours. That's crazy. That's unheard of to me.
Yeah.
And that was kind of mind blowing for me, I guess, in some way. And I had to give up a lot of ego that says, oh, I know everything that's going on with me. I will just take this and this and this path that nobody ever guided me to, or whatever. So I'm just saying, I feel like it's very, very, very important. And your story is a crazy reflection of it. Like, it's a crazy, it's a crazy roller coaster of intent. In the end of the day. Now, something that popped in my mind as you were speaking was your basketball, the basketball.
Mm.
And it seems like basketball has been a part of who you are, in a way. So I want to know, what in the basketball field, like field of this, like the general field of basketball, how did it shape you as a person? Because it seems like you were hustling as a basketball, you were, as a basketball player, you were just like, you were grinding it, and you were hard on yourself. What do you feel like your routine today, in your the Ryan of today, has to do with the training you got from basketball?
Well, it actually transferred into the core values when I was running a team. There's a few things. One I didn't realize at the time, but basketball was a form of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
So people get caught up in this. Oh, yeah, you got to sit down and have a kumbaya session and listen to your breath, and then you'll connect with the universe. But all meditation is just an external focus to quiet your mind. And that was something I got from basketball and didn't realize, was where I just felt at ease and I felt content. But resilience is a big thing. But the core values for the team, just a couple from memory, was practice how you play. So what that means is basically when the game time pressure isn't on you, when you're not expected to win and you're just in a practice with yourself or with your team, play it like it's the game. So it's the same thing with like a sales pitch. If you are hoping to prepare before you go out in the field and meet people and try sell, practice with real intent and real situations. So like we'd pretend to be characters, like a mom with screaming children, or like a really in rush businessman, and then we had to adapt and tailor it to them. So practice how you play. There's no point in immersing yourself in bettering a skill set and not making it realistic. Like,
Mm.
why practice if you're not going to do it properly?
Mm.
So practice how you play. And the other thing is leave it all on the floor. So there was a moment where in basketball, I jumped up and I landed funny and twisted my ankle. And it was really painful. So I slid off the floor, like using my hands and subbed out. And I hate losing when it's other people involved, when I have a team that I'm a part of. I don't mind if it's me so much, but like if there's someone that relies on me, I'm not going to let them down. So I remember going off, and then we started losing. It was the third quarter. And then it was really painful. I kept walking on it. And I'm like, I'll just go back on. Who cares? So I go back on the fourth quarter. And I play, and I'm sort of hopping on one leg, make a few good shots, and then a few defensive plays, and we end up winning. So we're down by 6, and then in the last quarter we won by 4. And I didn't find out later, but until later when I got an X-ray, because when the adrenaline came off, I actually broken my leg. So when the game had finished, I had to drive home, and I'd broken my was it my left leg? I think. Either way, yeah, I must have been because I was using the clutch.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So I broke my I can't remember. It was one of them. I think it was either or. But I broke my leg.
Clutch push is harder.
Yeah. So I had the accelerator was on the right. I've been driving an automatic for a while. People don't judge me. Yeah. So the clutch was to change the gear. So every time I changed the gear, I was using my broken leg, and there's no adrenaline left. And it was a manual. I couldn't get home. So I eventually got home, and I was using a broomstick to walk around, and my sister's a nurse, and she's like, I think you should get an X-ray. And yeah, I broke my leg. So I played on a broken leg. And that's the core value of the team, was leave it all on the floor, give everything you can in that moment. And that way, once it's done as well, we don't talk about work. We don't think about work. It's done. You don't think about the court. You do everything you can in that moment so you can go home with peace. So and competition would be the biggest thing. Because people always talk about socialism, like trying to help others, and I'm all for it. But the reality is, I mean, there's no altruistic act. There's always a self part in it. So like you want to help your friend, well, you get a good feeling from that. Or you get some benefit of having a good friend in the future that could help you later. Like there's always something that you benefit.
Mm-hmm.
So competition is very real. So learn to enjoy it. Don't see when you're in a competitive market or you're against some really great people, don't see that as a bad thing. See that as a challenge, something exciting, a measure. But when you go home, leave it all on the floor. Don't measure yourself to another person's standard. You only want to be better than who you were yesterday, because there's always someone better than you. But yeah, competition, leave it all on the floor. Practice how you play.
Damn. Shit.
Yeah, I remember when you he was so scared, Roy was, of going out and playing, and he's an incredible guitarist and great vocalist. And I remember we had to get a box. I don't know, we didn't have to, but I was trying to be creative to try and like see if we can get through this stage fright or this so I got you a box and I wrote on it.
Was it a Bud Light? Was it a Bud Light box?
It was probably a beer box, knowing the hostels we were in. And I wrote on it, needs money for face reconstruction.
That was hilarious. That's exactly what we wrote. And then this chick came in and gave me $5, and that was probably like the best moment. The best, that was the enlightening moment of like, dude, I can make money out of this.
How did you get
like,
through?
People are stupid enough to give me $5 for doing this shit. But it goes back to intent, you know? I want to make money from my craft. So I'm going to go through the steps, and I'm going to start little. And that's crazy. I want to get back to what you were saying about leave it all on the floor. I feel it's so important because, you know, as they say, with bodybuilders or whatever, or whoever's building muscle, people what they do with their muscle is muscle fatigue. So they rip all their muscle tissue or whatever happens there when they're working out, but then all the reconstruction and all that happens in rest, happens when they sleep, when growth hormone kicks in and all that. It doesn't matter if you eat perfect. If you don't sleep well, then it's all down to shit. And that's what athletes know so well. And a lot of them sleep more than 9 hours a night, at least 9 hours a night, as far as I know. But that's exactly the thing. Like, they go, they practice, they give it their all, and then after the practice, they don't, like, it's over there. It's back there. They've done the strategizing. They've done all that. There is no place for that when you come home to your wife, to your loved one, to your loved ones. And I'm a big sinner of that. I gotta put it like that, because I gotta admit, because, you know, art and music and all that isn't a very stable lifestyle to choose, and uh, and it lingers to other moments of the day, because you sometimes find yourself going out and talking about your music, you know. So it's never like, there's never a time frame where you are given to talk about this. But it really sheds a light to me on, you know, doing your thing, and then after it, like, doing things that are other that are not that exact thing, and that kind of gets you into a different mind space, so you can build your muscle in whatever you are doing. And if you talk about it, it has to be in a very I don't want to say disconnected, but unconnected way. So you are unplugged from the whole work and the whole grind and the whole day you've been through, because your grind muscle just builds up. If you think about it all the time, then you're gonna get muscle fatigue, and then you're gonna just, like, get your ligaments fucked up and all that. But that shit can happen in your brain as well.
Mm.
And I feel like I'm definitely taking that, and after this talk, I'll probably contemplate about that, because it's something that I've been sinning with doing. Okay, so I got a question. Was there a person along the way that you tied yourself to? Was there a type of person that you needed to tie yourself to make all this change, to get into these healthy habits? And that will lead me to the next question. Like, what is a habit that you've cultivated that that anyone could do it? What's a habit that you got, and what inspired you? Like, what person that you had in your life, and what's a person who's a person that you wouldn't have been able to do it without?
Yeah, when you were saying that, I was trying to think if there was like someone in a corporation or a friend, but it always stands back to my mum. Like, the value she hold is compassion for others. You can't beat a work ethic at all. Like, an example was, we go tramping, and she's in her 50s, and she's she says to me, she says, you want to make sure your pack's heavy enough so that your shoulders go numb. That's that. So she's like, 25 kilo pack. We're going on an 80 kilometer walk, and she's this old lady with
But
bad.
just FYI, your mother's a badass. Like, I met her. She's a badass. She is She is what you say she is, exactly. And I know she's much more. Keep going.
Yeah. So yeah, hard work, compassion. Like she's always like, you're probably not going to be the prettiest. You're probably not going to be the smartest, but you can be the one that works the hardest. And like and her ability to reinvent herself at any stage. Like, she is an agricultural scientist. She had a PhD. She's smart. That she was so specialized that there's people that couldn't even do what she was doing. That's why she was traveling around. So I said she went there to work with goats, but I just adds a bit of humor to the story. There's more to it. But then in her 50s, she decided, okay, I've done this career for 20 years. I've always wanted to be a farmer. Okay, I'm going to go be a farmer.
Hmm.
And like she's wearing away, she can't even walk downhill. Like, but she still goes on these massive walks. And she needed a sheepdog, and we had a house pet. It was 8 years living in a house. I used to cuddle it in bed, like when I was a kid. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll train it to be a sheepdog." So I remember she walked in to meet this farmer, and he met her, and he's like, "You really want to do this? I mean." Like talking about her being older and being a lady, and then she gets the dog out and then tells him that yeah, it's a house pet, and he's like, oh, that sounds about right. So they all doubted it, and then she trained it in this amazing sheepdog, and then she worked for free for like a year learning the skill, almost 2 years. That's dedication. And then she ended up working on one of the biggest farms in New Zealand. Helping out there, like doing stock, moving the stock around, and then also doing the science to it as well. So from her, so the habit I got from her would be is it's not too late. It's never too late. So you can push away what you want in life. Is you gotta see like there's no tomorrow when you execute and get it done, but don't think if you're 60, 50, 85, 15, if you haven't done your dream yet, it's not too late. So hope. But what changed the habit was once I had intent, was that work ethic came back. And as soon as I have team and someone relying on me, like I was working 70 hours a week when I was doing commission only management, and I wasn't getting paid on that. I was just doing that because I loved it and I wanted to do the best for the people I had. So I would say mum was a big turning point. Well, mum was a big role model for me. And the turning point was just choose something, see what happens.
Choose something, see what happens. Okay.
Yeah, because that was my biggest thing. I'd always had the skill. I always had the talent. But every time it came close to success, I'd find a way out. Because if I fully commit and fail, then I'm just that loser I thought I was. So having that intent, see what happens, and then you just find your feet. Don't think of a way out. Just think, this is what I got to do, and deal with it.
Yeah. That's what's up. All right, my man. We're gonna wrap this up.
Good call. Getting sleepy.
Yeah, it's a good point to end this shit. I've gotten goosebumps a few times, and I hope whoever will listen to this will also get them. Solid time, buddy. Solid times, and yeah, and we need to meet real soon. So, yeah, man. Let's wrap it here, and I'm sure you'll be back.
I'll be back. Got to get back to the listeners. You know, those one people in Uruguay.
Yeah, mindful money. No, not mindful. Meaningful money making is your page, right?
Corporate to Monk. The event's called Meaningful Money Making.
Okay.
Yeah,
Corporate Monk is the group.
Corporate to Monk. Number 2.
Corporate to Monk.
Yeah.
Okay. So corporate to the number, and then Monk. Okay, and then you'll probably have an Instagram page and everything. We'll get that rolling. Don't you worry, my friend. All right, my man. We're closing this bitch.
Sounds good. See you, bro.